So hello everybody, it's a Saturday morning halfway through May, coming up towards the end of May actually. On the board behind me is a drawing that has taken 2 months, literally 2 months. Oh, this is my alcohol substitute today, which I thought I'd show you. It's beetroot juice from Cawston Press, highly recommend it. And it looks the part, doesn't it? For when you're in company of people who find it a bit weird that you've given up alcohol. So, this is a very personal drawing and a very personal video. I wasn't sure whether to put it in cartoon workshops or in just chats about art. I decided on the workshops because the fact that it's taken 2 months, it meant that I couldn't film it as it went along. So what I've done is taken loads of snaps of it at different stages, and I'm going to do a voiceover showing you the progress of it, and you'll see the final digital version of this at the end. So this was inspired by hypnosis, and again I've talked about hypnosis before in relation to curing alcoholism, which worked for me. So I do use hypnosis occasionally, and I had a pretty traumatic upbringing, pretty traumatic childhood. We're talking about whole works, we're talking about psychiatric hospitals, being on the wrong side of the law, the whole thing, you know, all the way through 20s and 30s, and abusive relationships, domestic violence. We're talking about the whole works here, right? So there's a lot of trauma. And I decided to use hypnotism, not just at random, but to actually seek out a hypnotist. And I don't know whether it's my nature. Anyway, I went straight to the top. I went to a hypnotist to the stars, Adam Cox, who is on Spotify and various other platforms with his real-life hypnosis sessions. So he doesn't record the patient, he records his own voice talking to the patient, with an explanation of the patient's particular issues, and it's for all kinds of different subjects: weight loss, smoking, bad habits, anything people want him to help with, basically. And the session he did with me is now up on Spotify as one of those sessions. Obviously it's anonymous. Again, I want to do a disclaimer. I'm not recommending hypnosis for everybody. It might not suit everybody. Some people are frightened of it, but I'd like to reassure you, if you're thinking of hypnosis, all it's about is relaxing your mind and body so that you're open to change, and that's really, really what it's about. You do have to want to change in the first place. You do have to want to improve your life. But I find that hypnosis is a useful kickstart, especially when I'm like at a bit of a dead end or a bit of a plateau, wondering which direction I should go in. Here's a quick picture of Adam Cox. And that's what his show looks like up on Spotify. So this was the middle of March. I talked to him, and that's how long it's took this picture to be created. It's been on and off my board numerous times while I was doing other things. I'm going to start taking you through what this hypnosis was about, how this picture was formed in an organic way, and I hope you find this interesting. So this is Adam Cox, and this is what his sessions look like on Spotify. Just called The Hypnotist, so you can Google him easily on any platform that carries podcasts. So I saw Adam back in March, and we had a session where it was kind of like time travel, because we decided to go back in time and for me to visit my childhood self at different ages. So let's go straight into how I started this drawing. I'm just referring back to my previous cartoon workshop to show where I start on the board as a left-handed artist, and kind of create the drawing as a in a spiral left to right. So bearing that in mind, this was the very first image I started drawing. And when I started drawing this, I had not the slightest clue what it was going to be, except that I knew that in the hypnosis session, I had decided to make a very important gift to my former self. And it was going to be a kind of like almost like a telescope or a camera that she could look into the future, so that at the age of 11, not knowing all the awful things or traumatic things that were going to happen in the next few years, but I could give her this gadget and it would show her that yeah, she came out the other end okay. Do you know what I mean? Because as a child you don't know that. As a child your only solution is to think about suicide every day of your life, and I was one of those children. So this is what we did. So I'm showing you the first bit of the drawing here, and a figure almost like in a hooded figure holding this gadget. This was how it started off. All these images, by the way, were taken over a period of 2 months with different devices, sometimes with the camera, sometimes with the tablet, so they're going to look different lighting, different shading. I haven't done anything to them at all. The next picture shows something seen out of a window. So the scene is set in a child's bedroom, looking out of a window, and one of the things I used to love doing was watching thunderstorms. I really loved thunderstorms, found them very exciting, watching the clouds and so on. And this is this thing that is kind of swirling around here. If you remember, there's a strong left to right bias, a strong clockwise direction in a lot of my drawings, and this one's no exception. This is the Thundercat of Thor, the god of thunder. Thundercat, I don't know where I got it from, to be quite honest. It may have been in a cartoon that I caught a glimpse of on television. It might have been, I'm not sure, because if I show you the next one, which is Thor, as I've drawn him in this drawing, my ideas of Thor didn't really rely on seeing cartoons or anything like that. In fact, here you see the very earliest depiction of Thor in Marvel Comics. I would not have got my ideas of Thor, the Thunder God, from Marvel Comics. It was much more likely that I got it from a sort of child's treasury of myths and legends, like the one shown on the right here. That's the kind of book that we had in our house. So, looking out the window of this child's bedroom, I'm watching, or I'm seeing Thor with his Thundercat. Thundercat, yeah, it was kind of like the serpent that they had in the Norse legends that goes around the world eating, and it eats its own tail. And I've done the Thundercat like that because to me, Thor and his Thundercat were very real things that I imagined were out there when there was a thunderstorm. So this is what the full picture looks like, half in pencil, half drawn in, looking out the window there. And on to the next picture is the cat in pencil, the real cat, not the Thundercat. And here's the full image with all the pencil marks removed. So you're now seeing, you're getting a good idea now of what it's going to be. It's a child's bedroom. Here's a picture of the gadget itself. It's starting to take shape. It's starting to have some more shadows on the wall there. Putting a shadow on the wall of the hooded figure is a way of saying, well, it is really there, even though it's appearing as if it's in a dream to the child. So going round clockwise, round to the right, down to the right hand, very right hand corner of the picture now, I decided to draw in some toys, the kind of toys I would have had at the time. You know, this is like a child with putting a little tea set out for her toys. I've got a little kind of action man there, a little rag doll, and a little toy plastic Dalek, which everybody had in the 60s when I was little. We all had Daleks, we were all Doctor Who fanatics. And there's a close-up of the toys, shaded in. Spiralling into the centre of the picture, we can see the subject of the picture is the child and the cat in pencil. I hope you can see that. And then here's the gadget as it developed, and it just developed organically. I had not the slightest idea how this was going to end up. The right hand side of the gadget there is not filled in, is not shaded in, because the idea of it is that it's going from the present into the future. So it won't be, you won't see the bit that's in the future. Like, that's the ghost bit of it. Okay, and then here is the girl and the cat with her hand held out for this gift from her future self. I decided not to add any more shading because the gadget is casting some sort of light, and it's almost like she's in the headlights of this gadget. And there is the final picture. You get to a point with a picture like this where you realise you can't do any more. If you do any more, you're going to ruin it. Yeah, so here we have quite a steampunky idea of a magical gadget from the future being taken back, presented to my younger self to help her, to assist her. And don't forget, this is completely imaginary. And you know, if you go to Adam, or if you decide to go to any hypnotist, they will do a bespoke session with you, and they will decide what to do based on your own interests and your own background and your own hobbies, perhaps. This is just how it was done with me, and there you have the final picture with Thor and his Thundercat raging in the storm out the window, and this mysterious figure from the future presenting this gift to this child who is going to face a tremendous amount of trauma in the future. Nobody can prepare for it, but hypnosis might be one way that you might find it will help you to overcome it, the trauma that you had many years later. So I hope you've enjoyed that little workshop. The end result that you see on the screen, I found as I was looking at it on my own laptop screen that it had some really interesting shady effects which were not part of the drawing, but they looked so good that when I went back to the drawing, the real drawing, I thought I'm going to sort of try and recreate that. So I have put some very, very faint pencil shading on the drawing in certain places which I'm not able to pick that up with a photograph. It is just too subtle. You know, this is why it's always better to see a drawing or a painting in real life. You just cannot see what the original is like through a screen. No camera in the world is good enough to pick up the millions of different colours and different shades and different textures that the human eye can pick up. Really, we are nowhere near we are nowhere near it with our technology, I can assure you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, enjoy the alcohol substitutes I've been suggesting, and the next thing I'm going to do is package the drawing up and send it off to Adam, as I promised him I was going to do. I'll see you in the next video.